Greetings and welcome. I am your DECA advisor and would like to welcome everyone to the 2021-2022 Washington Township High School DECA Induction Ceremony. Please stand and welcome the ROTC Color Guard as we salute our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. I would like to introduce our distinguished guests who are joining us today. Our guest speaker, Infinity Field Program Manager and Shift Digital, Mrs. Marty Tremaine. Our Assistant Vice Principal, Mr. Savarese, and our business teachers, Ms. Malloy, Ms. Simpson, and Ms. Michael. Thank you very much for joining us. Today you will hear from our guest speaker and officially be inducted as members of the Washington Township High School DECA Chapter. We are one of the largest in the state and are very proud of our commitment to the chapter's success. I would now like to invite President Casey Torbick up to introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you, Mrs. Ackley. Today's guest speaker, Mrs. Marty Tremaine, is a graduate of her own high school's DECA program and has worked as the field program manager for Infinity with Shift Digital for 8.5 years. We are honored to have such a distinguished guest with us today. Without further ado, please welcome Ms. Marty Tremaine.
All right, better. Good morning. Welcome. You guys look awesome. I said, is it a dress-up day? Everyone looks so good out there. Yeah? Do you like dressing up for school? Kind of. You know, breaks up sweatpants and Lululemon leggings or whatever everyone wears these days. Okay, good. All right. Well, you are a good-looking bunch. I also can't get over how many people you have in your DECA community. This is incredible. I went to a high school where we only had about 45 people at any given time in DECA. But maybe you've heard of Rochester Adams High School, maybe not. For those of you who've gone to nationals, we had a great chapter and we had a really good advisor like Miss Alex, and we had a wonderful time. So I was in DECA from my sophomore year, junior, and senior year for 3 years. I don't think we let in freshmen. So who's a freshman in here? You guys are lucky. This is awesome. You get 4 years, 4 of the best years of DECA in your high school. So that's pretty cool. All right, so today I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about, well, I only have a few minutes, so I'm not going to talk to you about all the things I could talk to you about, but I'm going to focus on a couple of things. Living your best life and being your authentic self is kind of a tricky thing to navigate in today's world with the way everything's broadcast on social media and everything's recorded. And right now, you guys are at this really pivotal point in high school. You're going to be going eventually maybe to school after high school. So whether that's a trade school, you're going to get your associate's degree, your bachelor's degree, whatever it is you're going to do after high school, you're in these really interesting years of your life where you're going to have a chance to document a few, maybe too many things, right? So I want to talk to you about your ethics and kind of your moral compass and how things are forming right now that are going to make an impact in your future. But I need to start off by sharing a little bit about myself in order for you to maybe understand where I'm coming from. And I feel badly because my back is to you guys, so I'll keep doing this thing, but all right, so I want to talk about expression, motivation, and success. What is the definition of success in today's social media world? And this is me. I'm 3, and I am thrilled about an orange in my stocking. So timely for the holidays. I'm 3 years old. No, 4 years old maybe in that picture. And I literally can't get over the fact that I received an orange in my stocking. Has anyone else ever received a gift on Christmas that they're not that thrilled about? Well, this is me when I'm not excited about that orange. So this picture has kind of haunted me my entire life. My family shares it at holidays. They talk about how I was such a grumpy child because I got a stocking that year. And it's one of those memories that I'm glad has lived within my family circle, but didn't circulate public, even though it would be not too harmless. Or it wouldn't be very harmful. But I wanted to chat with you most specifically about this picture that I drew when I was 8 years old. And my parents disguised summer camp. Maybe some of you go to a really fun summer camp. I went to summer school disguised as summer camp, and I had to learn how to write creatively. And so this is from my creative writing summer camp when I was 8 years old. And we were asked, what do we want to be when we grow up? Well, I had no idea. I'm 8 years old. But I can draw this really ugly convertible for you and show you that I'd like to work at a bank, evidenced by the money bag here. I would like to be a cheerleader on the side after I graduate from Michigan State University. Spoiler alert, I don't go there and I don't become a cheerleader. And I would like to work in a candy store. And this is where I drew, here, there's my pointer. This is where I drew the candy along the side. So pretty much my dreams were become a bank teller, drive a convertible, be a cheerleader, and have access to all the candy in the world. Sounds good, right? No. Any of you want to be these things right now? You're all shaking your heads like, no way. That is not on my list of things I want to do. Well, what's interesting is my experience in DECA started in our high school cafeteria's candy store. So our DECA club funded itself by having a candy store during lunchtime that we sold M&Ms and Reese's peanut butter cups and Juju beans, whatever. We sold everything during lunch. So you could go in and you could buy candy for like 50 cents at the time. So that dates me. It makes me very old. And that's how we raised money for our DECA travel. And that's how we paid for it. And so as a early sophomore year in the fall, I walked into the candy store and I was negotiating across the counter for more Reese's Pieces. If I bought more, I thought the price should be lower. And I started negotiating with the senior who at the time was behind the counter, and that was his job. It was to sell candy to all the kids in high school that were looking for candy at lunchtime. And the teacher, who was our advisor, walked over, and I didn't know this man, and he was standing there watching me, and he said, "Come to my office tomorrow morning." And that was that. And so I just thought he was a nice guy, a nice teacher, had an interest in me. No problem, I'll show up tomorrow. So I came to his office the next morning, and he said, "What were you doing yesterday?" in that conversation. And I said, well, I was trying to negotiate a better price for my Reese's Pieces because I buy 5 a week. And instead of buying them one at a time, I just figured if I came on Mondays and bought all 5 at once, I could get a better deal. And he said, you need to join DECA, and I have a project for you. So he sent me home with a vehicles and petroleum binder that was 3 inches thick and said, study all of these tests. And I said, what? Vehicles and petroleum? Me? Why me? Anyone here study vehicles and petroleum? Is that still a category? No? It turned into automotive. Okay, so we'll call it automotive. Anyone study automotive for DECA? Hands? No? No one wants automotive? Oh man, all right, tough crowd. Okay, well, anyway, I competed as a sophomore. I had no idea what I was doing. I did great though, and I won districts. So I got to go to states, and I was like, all right, this is kind of cool. What am I doing? Still have no idea. Talking about cars and vehicles and petroleum seems to be my thing. So the next year, so I got to go to states. I placed 3rd. I did not get to go to nationals. My next year, though, he paired me up with another gal who was a year older than me, and we wrote a business plan. So we were entrepreneurs. We wrote our manual. We presented it. We did the role plays, and we got 2nd at nationals. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. I like traveling. I like my team of people. This is amazing. And DECA really, for me, my junior year clicked. And I knew that it was a really special thing to be a part of. And so we got to travel and just do these really fun trips together, and I had a great time. So it's ironic that I wanted to drive a convertible, and I was so focused on cars as an 8-year-old, and that I wanted to buy candy and have all the candy in the world. So that is what led me to DECA. So long story short, I'm in the automotive industry. I don't know if you guys all know, I am connected somehow to Casey Torbick through DT. They tell me they call you DT, her dad, and we work together. And so I've been in the automotive world my entire career, so almost 20 years. And the automotive world, as you can see, some of the things I pointed out in red, has had a couple of rocky moments, as an industry. When something goes wrong in automotive, the whole world hears about it. And you know why? It's because we all rely on transportation and cars every day, right? So we all rely on whether we take an Uber or a taxi or a bus or we have our own personal cars. How many of you have your driver's license right now? Yes. All right. And how many of you have the privilege of driving a car to school every day? It's a privilege, right? And there's a lot of work that goes into maintaining a car. And as you can tell by the industry headlines, these were pulled a couple years ago, but it just felt like the automotive industry just kept having so many issues. And again, they're really highlighted when things go wrong. But thankfully, as unethical as these headlines look, right? Bad ignition switch people knew about, or faking the diesel test with Volkswagen, that was a bad one. We had issues with them advertising some false things. So we had just so many issues that felt like coming up in automotive. But the good news is that the folks who work for these companies, their ethics, their morals, the things that they go to work to do every day, they're there to fix these problems, and they're there to make improvements and make changes. And the automotive industry is recovered, right? That was just a blip a couple years ago. Car sales right now are pretty strong, except for we've got a little manufacturing shortage going on. So aside from that, though, the automotive industry is filled with amazing people, and all levels of education, all levels of skills and length of time in the industry. And so there's a ton of opportunities in this industry, and you're gonna meet some amazing people who are problem solvers, who are looking for those issues, who aren't scared of these headlines. That's just purpose, right? They wake up every day and they're like, I'm gonna fix this, and this is gonna be a great car company again. This is going to be a great place to buy a vehicle. Really proud to work in that industry. So automotive, good spot, full of people with a lot of good ethics. And all right, so to you guys, though, my question is, how do you express yourself? How do you, every day deal with the pressures of sharing your accomplishments, sharing some of your challenges? A lot of us go to social media, right? A lot of us look online for content to improve ourselves. We're always online looking at other folks that we are friends with, maybe, that are part of our crew here at school, or are part of our work life if we all have jobs. So how do we express ourselves amongst our community is a pretty important thing. And I don't have to remind you guys about cancel culture. You're in high school. Like, this is a tough place for cancel culture, I'm sure. And I want to just point out that when it comes to hiring, so in your future, this is what I'm referencing, your future, you're gonna go looking for a job, whether that's an internship in college, or maybe it's a job right now in high school. You guys are gonna start sharing details about yourselves with future potential employers. And when you do that, they're gonna have a chance to Google you, right? And they're gonna be able to look up what you've done and what you've put out there about yourself online. And it's really easy to find information about people these days, right? That's the beauty of the search engines. But what happens if you post things in your past, and I pull up the example of Chrissy Teigen because it comes to mind. It doesn't matter if it was today or yesterday or 5 years ago. For some of you, hopefully you weren't on social media that young, but if you post something now in high school that ends up kind of following you along the path in college, and you go looking for an internship at a big company or even a small company, they've got an HR department. Those human resources folks who do their recruiting are gonna probably dig in and look for stuff that you've posted in the past. So I wanted to just walk you through this quick little exercise. So we've got candidate A. Sorry, this font's maybe a little small for you in the back, but it says cover letter. They had a nice cover letter. It was very articulate. Candidate A had a resume, pretty well done, impressive in that sense. On LinkedIn, they've got a nice long work history. They've got all of their peer reviews. People that they've worked with in the past have said nice things about them. Wonderful. They've got a Facebook account, it looks like. I found them on Instagram. Both of those are private. Great. And Twitter. I find their Twitter. I always find their Twitter, by the way. I hire hundreds of people a year. I've looked at thousands of resumes in my career at the company that DT and I both work for. And when I find their Twitter, normally that's where the good stuff is, right? Or a blog. And so what I find on Twitter is they've got pretty aggressive opinions. They've talked about the elections. I don't care what side they're on, they're just aggressive. They use curse words in some of their posts and maybe posted some unfavorable comments about female athletes. And I'm kind of like, wow, that's a bummer, because this person looks really good on paper otherwise. And these are real people, by the way. These are people that I have bumped into recruiting. All right, candidate B, let's move on. Cover letter, they forgot to include it. Some people do. Okay, we'll move on. Their resume is sufficient. It's not the best of the bunch, but it's good. It's got all the things we're really looking for. Maybe not the best font, or, it's laid out a little sloppy, found a grammar error here and there, but, it'll get the job done. All right, their LinkedIn, they've got a good work history. They've got pretty good peer reviews. All right, this looks like a good person. Open profiles, Facebook and Instagram. I just clicked on them and started looking up information about this person, and I see they love cats. I'm like, all right, I'm not a cat person, but that's okay. We'll look at cat videos for a minute, but nothing offensive, okay? So their profile is open. I dug in, nothing offensive. Now, Twitter, I'm looking, for more cat stuff. Actually, they have news stories, okay? They've got some related industry posts to automotive. Great, that's nice. And some motivational, inspirational quotes, no harm. I love that. That's an interesting Twitter. All right, so we're moving on to candidate C. Also be thinking, who are you hiring? Who are you hiring if you're me? Okay, so candidate C, great cover letter, best of the bunch of a resume, good work history, 2 positive endorsements from their peers, actually their bosses, which is even better. Their Facebook and Instagram, none that I can find. So that's good. No Twitter, even better. And then I find a blog. A blog that they probably started in college, fine. They haven't updated it in a year. All right, that's okay. But in the past, they were a little crazy. They had some emotional rants. They posted about a trip that they went on. They had fine pictures, no big deal. But then they roasted this company that they used to work for. And they were talking about how it was just a terrible situation and how they left. And they have this story about this bad company. Well, that is actually really bad. So I guess I want to ask you guys, candidate A, looking good, just a bad Twitter. What do you think? Candidate A, would you hire them? Hands up. Nah. A couple of you? Yeah. I mean, I'd tell them to take their Twitter down. I'd probably go back to them and say, can you take your Twitter down, or can you make it private at least? But good. All right, candidate B, hands up. Majority of hands up. Yeah, C. All right, and candidate C, anyone? A couple of you, okay. All right, that's a blog. It's old, right? It's old. They haven't updated it in a year. I'd probably say the same thing to them. Take that blog down, erase it, and are you okay? Are you going to be okay working for our company, right? So this is just an example of real life scenarios that happen every day in our industry, every day for me as a hiring manager. And I know you're probably getting lectured and told this by a lot of people, but as someone who I want talent coming up through our pipeline, I love meeting young people who are looking for industry opportunities. I give them this word of advice because it's real. It happens every day at our company. So anyway, moving on. Okay. What motivates you guys right now? What motivates you? And when I was thinking, driving down, by the way, very fast from New York City this morning, I was like, oh, I'm going 95. This is really reckless, but it feels so nice to drive a car fast when there's no one on the road at 5:30 in the morning. So driving fast, I decided what motivates you is not the right question. Not the right question to ask you guys, because I think motivation stems from something else. I think motivation, especially right now, as you're navigating DECA, you're navigating high school, you're navigating all your classes, and just getting used to this new paradigm that you're in. And sorry, you're wearing masks. That's a whole new another paradigm. What are you thankful for? And that's something every day that will help motivate you if you can start your day with a little bit of gratitude. So let's talk about motivation from the perspective of gratefulness, right? Okay, so back in the day, before the Industrial Revolution, before we were an organized society, humankind, we were motivated by one thing. Anyone guess what that is? Yeah. Money. No, money didn't exist yet. Go like way back. Go like cavemen, but really good guess. Yeah. Food. Yes. And what? Yep. Don't die. Amen. Amen. Don't die, right? That is what we were motivated by as a human, kind of like caveman, Cro-Magnon man, whatever. We were motivated by survival. So we had to find food, shelter, and some water. And that's all we needed to survive, right? So this book that I'm referencing calls that Motivation 1.0. Pretty cool. All right, Motivation 2.0 enters money, right? Money, and we need to provide for our families and provide for our communities and give back to our communities and build schools and educate people, right? So now we're entering this more industrial age. So Motivation 2.0 became reward or avoid punishment. And for those of you who this metaphor falls a little deaf on, it's the carrot and the stick. Have you guys ever heard of that? Okay, all right, perfect. So the carrot and the stick became Motivation 2.0, right? Work towards the incentive, that paycheck or that promotion or, the Rolex after working for a company for 25 years. They don't do that very much anymore. But that would be the carrot. The stick, well, less hours if you can't keep up with this production line, or you're going to lose your job if you can't, produce as many widgets as the guy next to you on the assembly line. Okay, so carrot stick, Motivation 2.0. Motivation 3.0 set in a couple of decades ago, and that became a little more complicated because as we moved away from the Industrial Revolution and the assembly lines of the early 20th century, early 19th century, we are now in a position where people like you and I, we need to know a little bit more about what we're contributing to society has an impact on ourselves, right? I want to work with a little bit more purpose. I want to know that I'm good at what I do, and I kind of want to feel independent, like I don't have someone breathing down my throat all day. So DT and I work together. We've worked together for 3 years now, and I've seen him 3 times a year, roughly 3 times a year, in person. We do a lot over virtual meetings, but he runs a region, and he can go wherever he needs to go in his region, east of Ohio, to get things done. I've got to go to Nashville, I've got to go to Detroit, I've got to go to California, but we kind of just run our own world, right? And we're responsible for certain things, and we got to get it done. And no one's breathing down our throats, which is awesome, right? As long as we get our jobs done. So that autonomy, being good at what we do, that mastery, and that purpose, I feel like I'm connected to what I do because I really love it. And I get to come here and talk to you guys, so that's fun. So Motivation 3.0 is where we are today. And I think a lot of that comes from being grateful just for the small things in life. And I start off by telling you, I am grateful for the fact that I got to come here today. I'm so grateful for DECA because it is so instrumental in who I am and what I can do today in my career. I would not be standing up here in front of a crowd of 200 people with a microphone just riffing with you guys if I didn't start off as a sophomore in high school negotiating the cost of my Reese's Pieces and find my way to that advisor's office that next day. He saw something in me and he said, you need to be in business. And ironically, I ended up in automotive. But I grew up in Detroit, so that's kind of in my blood, right? My gratitude every day starts when my feet hit the ground. I have a 9-month-old baby, my first baby. He's super cute. And he's been sick. I've been sick for the past 2 weeks with this sinus infection, and he's been waking up in the middle of the night, and it's awful. And so when you don't get sleep as a new mom, she's laughing because Alex knows. When you don't get sleep as a new mom, it's pretty terrible. But every time my feet hit the ground, I recognize that I'm waking up to check on my baby, and I'm so thankful that I have a baby. So my mindset goes from, I don't want to wake up at 3 in the morning and I just want to lay in my cozy bed, to I have a baby. And I'm so thankful that he's crying right now, because that means he's alive. And I run and I check on him and everything's good. And I lay back down and I'm thankful for him and I go back to sleep. And that's just one example of me being thankful. But I wake up every day and I count all of my blessings, and that's what helps motivate me. And without those things that I'm thankful for, it's really hard to stay motivated. So I just encourage you, even if it's as simple as you wake up and you're just thankful that you get to go to school and get educated, and you think about kids that don't have the opportunity to go to school and get educated in a pretty nice building. with teachers that really care about them, and an advisory committee of people that are seniors, that have put in the work, that know what it's going to take for you to be successful in high school and be successful in DECA. That's amazing to have all of those resources cheering you on. So anyway, that's my advice on gratefulness, because if you come from that place of you can appreciate what you have today, you're going to attract so much more of that into your world tomorrow. So these are those words that I was just rattling off. I don't know how much they mean to you guys yet, but if you have a job and you can relate to this, I'm happy to stick around and chat with you about it. These are the things that are important to me in my job today. And I hope that all of you can find a career path, whether that's a job you take for a couple of years and you learn a lot and you move on to another one and you keep doing that so you build up your skills and your expertise. But you need to find a place that you feel connected to beyond just punching the clock, right? It's something that you feel like you have, you fit in. And this is exactly what you wanted to do. And if it's not what you want to do, it's going to help you get to the next thing that you're going to do. So just be grateful for the balance, right? For a good paycheck, for a paycheck, for someone who's going to pour into you and spend some time with you, a good boss, a good mentor. Those are all things to be grateful for. All right. So we're all snowflakes. I hate to break it to you. Even the old people who say, oh, young people, they're such snowflakes. Do you guys hear that? Do you hear that ever? I hear that. I find that so offensive. I'm like, old man, you're also a snowflake. We are all individual, right? We are all cut from different cloth and come from different places and have our own ideas of what success is, what we should be thankful for, what makes us happy, and that's awesome. And our uniqueness is what helps propel us forward into the future. And how we all define success today could be, I got out of bed, I got to school on time, and I'm sitting here dressed up, looking sharp, and that is success to me right now. Success can be minute by minute. It doesn't have to be, I'm gonna get an A and I'm getting into this great school, which I know, Abby, we talked about that. You know, success doesn't have to be those huge milestones. It can be, it will be that day that it comes. But in the meantime, today, what is gonna make you successful and feel successful? And that's important to just break that down minute by minute if you have to, because those little tiny wins in your day, they build up, and they build up to a point where you recognize the big ones and you can really celebrate them. And that's also to say that there will be some times where it's challenging and you might have some losses, but you also have to experience that to know what the success feels like. Okay. Here's my little image board. I went to Indiana University. I was in a big sorority. We had a lot of fun. I've had my chances to travel the world. I was a photographer for a little bit. I shot a lot of live music and concerts when I lived in California. I had a lot of fun in my 20s. And after I graduated and traveled a lot, I modeled a little bit, and I got to spin around with some fancy cars, and maybe you saw me at a few auto shows across the country. I worked for Lexus right out of college, and I had a great job. And I did all their dealer training and product training and safety training, and any time that they launched a new technology, the Lexus engineers would train me and a handful of people at the company. We would learn everything about the cars, to the point of just gross knowledge that I'll never use again, all of it, but it was nice to have it at the time. The dealerships would come in, they'd bring their staff, their training would take place. We would train them on why the airbag now splits and why that's better for your face. And we'd teach them how hybrid technology worked. Lexus at the time was launching the first really ever luxury hybrid cars. So it was a really interesting time for me, and it was one of my first official jobs out of college. You see that slide that I just gave you, talked to you guys about. I presented to the University of Denver a couple years ago and talked about some similar stuff that we're talking about today. And I think it's important to note that, you know, and this is my job right now that I do with DT. So there's me talking, there's one of our colleagues. And we have to talk all the time to groups of folks about things that are happening with Infinity. So what I guess I want to leave you guys with is, never in my wildest dreams did I imagine today getting a chance to talk to you guys, but this is success to me. This is amazing that I get to come and share with you how important DECA was to me, in hopes that you might feel like it's going to be instrumental in your lives. And you'll get something else out of it maybe today that you didn't know about. Or moving forward, you feel that much more connected to being in DECA, and you're going to try even harder to get to nationals because it's a really good time. All right, so I want to leave you with this clip, and this is my last slide. But this is one of my favorite scenes in a movie I've seen in the past, decade or so. And I'll leave you with this. This is Chris Gardner. It's actually played by Will Smith. And this is in The Pursuit of Happiness. Has anyone seen The Pursuit of Happiness? It's a good movie. If you haven't seen it, add it to your list this holiday season. It's a great one to watch with your family. And I'll leave you guys with this. And then I have a reading list, a slide just with a couple of books that if I were you at your age, I would have loved to have read all of these. So I read most of them by the time I was either out of college, and then I've a couple of recent ones that are really good books too that I think you guys already talk about. So I'll leave that slide up, and you can write them down if you want a reading list for the holidays or anything that'll inspire you for sales, marketing, kind of how to frame your mind to be focused on gratitude and living in the present moment. So all really good things that have helped me. And I'll leave you with this clip. So thanks again. If you want to chat afterwards, I'm free to answer questions or just network. All right, cool. Thanks again, you guys, for having me. Good luck in your districts that are coming up in January. I hope everyone does really well and enjoys their time prepping for those. Remember, when it's public on social, keep it professional. Think about your life in 10 years and remember that it's important what you put online. Motivation is all around you. If you appreciate the nuances of every piece of your day and you're grateful for those things, you're going to continue to be motivated. I know you are. And success is not static. Your definition of what is successful today, make it those little tiny wins, and it'll propel you forward, I promise. And it's going to change from moment to moment. So what you think is success today is going to change tomorrow, and that's totally fine. It's even better, right? Because it makes life fun. And you're going to remember different phases of your life for those reasons. Here's my reading list if you are interested in any of these books. They're all available on Amazon, or Target actually has a lot of them too. And so Daniel Pink is the author, and Drive was the book that I referenced talking about motivation. Daniel Pink also wrote this book. If you're a marketer or you think you want to go into marketing, this is one of the most insightful, easy to read, quick books about marketing that I really enjoy. There's a lot of really boring books about marketing out there. This one's awesome. This is The Power of Now, which is basically how to help your mind stop wandering into the future and being so worried about it, or ruminating in the past, just kind of focusing on right now, or right now. Or right now. All right. And the law of attraction is a little bit more around that mindfulness piece. So if you're interested in learning how to attract all the abundance into your world moving forward and staying in that now, that's another great book. And Shoe Dog is one of my favorite biographies. It's a biography, right? Yeah, biography on Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. And then When Breath Becomes Air is just a personal connection. Paul Calanthe, and in case you haven't read this book, it's really life-changing. He is a neurosurgeon, and it's his story that his wife had to finish for him. And I went to high school with his wife, and she's a friend of ours from growing up. So just an incredible story about life and what matters. All right. And this is what matters. This is Bo, and he says good morning. And he slept through the night, so that was awesome. All right, everyone. Thanks again. Have a great day.
Hello, my name is Eddie Tobler, and I, along with Casey, are your WTHS DECA co-presidents for the 2021-2022 school year. We are excited that all of you have decided to join this excellent organization. Our total membership of 227 stands among the largest clubs at WTHS. DECA exists because of the quality and dedication of its members, and none of what we do would be possible without your help. Included in this ceremony are our officers and executive board. This group will lead our organization in the upcoming year, helping to execute the fundamental purposes of DECA. These students before you are truly committed and dedicated to making your experience in DECA this year one of the most fun and memorable experiences you will have throughout high school. Please join me in welcoming our DECA vice presidents. Vice presidents, as I call your name, please light the candle that symbolizes your position. Kira Knox Bishop and Abby Wilson will light the purple candle for leadership. Andrew Briggs will light the white candle for professional responsibility and finance. Thomas Tate will light the red candle representing DECA's commitment to the community. And Grace Kim will light the green candle representing DECA's academic achievements. Joining them at the front of the stage is our Vice President of Public Relations, Sydney Shivo, and our social media coordinator, Emily Guthier.
Our vice presidents will each help motivate the chapter in attaining its goals for the year. These goals range from helping members prepare for competition to working in the community and fundraising for special causes. Please welcome back Mrs. Ackley, who will administer the oath to office to this year's DECA officers.
Members of the Washington Township High School DECA chapter, it is my pleasure to present to you your new officers, duly entrusted with the management and operation of this organization during the upcoming year. You will be part of one of the largest and most prestigious organizations in the country for students in career and technical education programs. You have been chosen to help continue the tradition of this chapter and to represent our members in a professional manner at all times. Please repeat after me. I understand fully the honor and responsibilities that have been conferred upon me as an officer. And I do solemnly and sincerely promise to accept and fulfill these responsibilities to the best of my ability. We will look to you as a chapter to lead us to higher levels than in the past. Congratulations and good luck this coming year. You can have a seat. It is my pleasure to induct the remaining members of the 2020-2022 Executive Board of the Washington Township DECA chapter. As your name is called, please come forward and face the audience. Spencer Barnowski, Morgan Brewster, Sophia Diaz, Matt Egan, Danny Geetens, Tori Hartley, Aaron McGarvey, Santino Misi, Caden Morrell, Anna Mejijo, Sean Parcheski, Alex Riccardi, Emily Ryan, Brett Williams, and Ethan Wilson. Please repeat the oath after me. I understand fully the honor and responsibilities that have been conferred upon me as an officer, and do solemnly and sincerely promise to accept and fulfill these responsibilities to the best of my abilities. Congratulations, and you may return to your seats. Please welcome back Casey Torbick.
Our organization has become one of the most prestigious in the country because of the quality of our members. Each year, our members commit themselves to the social, civic, and professional activities of DECA. Together, we can achieve wonderful things as a chapter. Will all of the members please rise and repeat the oath after me? I solemnly pledge to carry out the duties and responsibilities of membership in DECA. I realize the importance of working together. I will conduct myself in a manner that reflects positively on the chapter, and I will at all times endeavor to maintain a high standard of integrity. Congratulations. I now declare you to be members of the Washington Township DECA Chapter with all the rights and privileges thereof. Please turn to the back of your program and read the Deca Creed with me. I believe in the future which I am planning for myself in the field of marketing and management, and in the opportunities with my vocation officers. I believe in fulfilling the highest measure of service to my vocation, my fellow beings, my country, and my God. That so doing, I will be rewarded with personal satisfaction and material wealth. I believe in the democratic philosophies of private enterprise and competition, and in the freedom of this notion that these philosophies allow for the fullest development of individual abilities. I believe that by doing my best to live according to these high principles, I will be of greater service both to myself and to mankind. I would now like to welcome back Mrs. Ackley for some closing remarks.
Thank you, guys. Before we are dismissed, there are a few important announcements regarding some DECA events, so please pay attention. DECA district testing will be held in-house, which means in school, next week. Look for a sign-up genius on our Remind and in our Schoology group for you to sign up for a time during lunch to take the test. You must take the test in order to go to districts on the 12th, okay? So make sure we take it. And no matter how well you do, you're still going to the competition on the 12th. We just take this first before we get there. If you haven't already to fill out the form regarding the COVID policy, please do that. If your situation has changed since you filled it out, just come see me and we will take care of it. Stay tuned for after the holidays for the return of our Krispy Kreme donuts and Chick-fil-A sandwiches after school. So let's have one more round of applause for all of our guests this morning. Congratulations once again, and thank you for attending. Continue your hard work, and hopefully we'll see all of you in Atlanta in the springtime. Have an excellent day.